Hello, I'm Mike Taylor. Welcome to Specialty Music Productions' beginning 5-string banjo video. The opening song you just heard is called John Hardy. It's one of the tunes that you'll be learning to play from this video. The main purpose of this video is to help the beginner establish a solid foundation in the fundamentals of learning how to play the 5-string banjo. The basic skills and techniques used in playing will be introduced one at a time and then applied to the songs that you'll be learning. Although playing the banjo is easier than you might think, it does require skill development. And skill development takes time, practice, and lots of repetition. Try to set aside time each day for practice. For example, if you have an hour a day, I suggest spending a half hour in the morning and the other half hour in the afternoon or evening. Multiple practices of a comfortable duration are better than long marathon practice sessions. Feel free to stop the video while you practice. When you feel comfortable with your progress, start the video again and continue learning. I wish you much success and enjoyment as you learn how to play America's national instrument, the 5-string banjo. Place the banjo in your lap while supporting the instrument with both legs. Keep the neck of the banjo up at about this angle. During this program, I'll be making references to certain parts on your banjo, so it will be helpful for you to become a little familiar with some of the parts of your instrument. Starting at the peg head, these are the tuning keys. This is the neck, and this is the fingerboard. This is the nut, and these are the frets. The frets are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on up the neck. This white area is the head, which is stretched tight by the tension hoop over the tone ring underneath. This is the tailpiece. This is the bridge, which is held in place by the tightness of the strings. The strings are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In order to play, you'll need 2 metal finger picks and 1 plastic thumb pick. Place the thumb pick on so that the flat side is opposite your fingernail. Place the metal finger picks on so that the picking surface is opposite your fingernails. Keeping your fingers bent and relaxed above the strings, anchor your ring finger and pinky finger on the banjo head in front of the bridge about 1 inch below the first string. You will pick the strings in the same direction that you naturally close your hand. Pick down with your thumb and up with your fingers. You'll be tuning your banjo to what is known as G tuning. Although there are other tunings, G tuning is the most common. You should tune up by matching your banjo strings to mine. Starting with the first string, we have a D. The second string is a B. third string is a G. The fourth string is a D. Like the first string, however, it's lower in pitch. The fifth string is a G, like the third string. However, it's higher in pitch. I recommend the purchase of an electronic tuning device such as this one. The tuning meter provides a visual reference which takes the guesswork out of tuning your banjo. You'll be learning to play your banjo by ear with the aid of tablature. Tablature is an old but effective means of transcribing the techniques of playing on paper. It's simple and easy to understand and enables the beginner to concentrate primarily on the skills used in playing. Although tablature and music notation are different, they do share some similarities. Tablature is similar to music in that it resembles a music staff and has divisions known as measures. Timing notations are also similar. If you know how to read a simple graph, you'll have no trouble understanding and reading tablature. Banjo tablature has a staff of horizontal lines. These lines represent the 5 strings on your banjo. They are numbered from top to bottom: 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The strings on your banjo are numbered from bottom to top. Don't let this bother you. This will be no problem to you after a few days of practice. You can always remember the string order on the banjo because the 5th string is the shortest one. The horizontal tablature lines are divided into sections by vertical lines forming measures. In order to illustrate or transcribe banjo music fingering techniques on the tablature lines, we will use numbers to represent the frets on your banjo fingerboard. Open strings, which are strings not fretted while being played, are indicated by an O. First fret is indicated by a 1, second fret is indicated by a 2, third fret is indicated by a 3, and so on. In this example, reading from left to right, you would play the 4th string while fretting it behind the 3rd fret. Next, you would play the 2nd string open. And last, you would play the 1st string while fretting it behind the 4th fret. Since we have 3 finger picks on, we will need to know which finger is used to pick which string. This is indicated below the measure of tablature. T stands for thumb, I stands for index finger, M stands for middle finger. Practice playing this measure of tablature a few times, reading it naturally from left to right. All notes are to be played open, that is, not fretted. Start out like this. Pick the 3rd string open with your thumb. Play the 2nd string open with your index finger. Play the 5th string open with your thumb. Pick the 1st string open with your middle finger. Now the last 4. The 4th string open with your thumb. The 2nd string open with the index finger. the 5th string open with the thumb, and the 1st string open with the middle finger. And now from the beginning. Again. Now, keep playing this over and over a few times until you get used to it. Did you notice that as you became comfortable playing that measure of notes that your speed began to increase? Did you notice that as your speed increased, that the notes you were playing began to form into a pattern? That's because it is a pattern. This pattern is called the alternating banjo roll pattern. In order to play the banjo, you must first memorize several standard roll patterns. These roll patterns are fun to learn, and you should practice them until you can play them easily from memory. Play them slowly at first, and then try to sustain a medium tempo or speed so that the sound of the patterns emerge and begin to flow smoothly. It's not important to play them fast in the beginning. It's more important to play them smoothly and evenly. Just have patience and allow yourself to gain speed naturally without thinking about it. You'll find that you can separate the roll patterns better in your mind if that when you practice them, you play them 40 to 50 times each rather than just only a few times each. Follow along as I demonstrate the most common banjo roll patterns. Here is the alternating roll pattern. 3rd string thumb, 2nd string index, 5th string thumb, 1st string middle, 4th string thumb, 2nd string index, 5th string thumb, 1st string middle. Here is the forward roll pattern number 1. 3rd string thumb, 1st string middle, 5th string thumb, 3rd string index, 1st string middle, 5th string thumb, 3rd string index, 1st string middle. This is the forward roll pattern number 2. 5th string thumb, 3rd string index, 1st string middle, 5th string thumb, 3rd string index, 1st string middle, 3rd string thumb, 1st string middle. This is the forward and back roll pattern. 3rd string thumb, 2nd string index, 1st string middle, 5th string thumb, 1st string middle, 2nd string index, third string thumb, first string middle. This is the tag roll pattern, which is mostly used for tag licks. Third string thumb, first string middle, fifth string thumb, third string index, first string middle, third string index, fourth string thumb, first string middle. Practice your rolls over and over without pausing between starting over. The notes are spaced equidistant from each other, so you should space them evenly as you play them. Avoid uneven spacing between notes. Other common beginner problems are pausing between rolls or accidentally leaving out some of the notes. Be sure to take your time, concentrate, and learn to play it right the first time, and avoid these common beginner mistakes. While memorizing the standard banjo roll patterns, you learned that each measure of tablature contained 8 notes. That's because most measures of banjo tablature have 8 notes in them. It's helpful to think of each measure as being subdivided by imaginary lines into 8 equal parts. Each note in a measure containing 8 notes, or I should say 8 fret numbers, will occupy one section. Each fret number will have a stem and a connecting line. These fret numbers can be thought of as eighth notes. Count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Many times you'll encounter a measure with less than 8 notes in it. Here is a measure with 7 notes in it. The fret number without a connecting line can be thought of as a quarter note. Count 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and. It takes 4 quarter notes to fill a measure. Count 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes a fret number will have to sustain longer than the normal duration of a quarter note. In that case, the fret number will not have a stem. It would take 2 of these half-note fret numbers to fill a measure in common time. Sometimes you'll see more than 8 notes in a measure. If a measure contains 9 notes, one of those fret numbers will have a double connecting line. That fret number is to be played twice as fast as an 8th note fret number. It may not be necessary to count along as you learn a new song. You didn't have to count along when you learned your roll patterns. It's mainly important just to be aware of the time values assigned to the fret numbers in tablature. In order to play the banjo, you will also need to educate your left hand a little. Chords are the first left hand priority. A chord is sounded when 3 or more notes are played together in harmony. Find the basic chord diagrams in your booklet. Notice the finger placements. I represents index finger, M represents middle finger, R represents ring finger, and P represents pinky finger. G chord doesn't have to be formed since we are already in G tuning. The open strings on the banjo in G tuning already produce the G chord when sounded together. To form the C chord, place your middle finger on the 4th string just behind the 2nd fret. Place your index finger on the 2nd string just behind the 1st fret. And then place your ring finger on the 1st string just behind the 2nd fret. To form the D chord, place your ring finger on the 4th string just behind the 4th fret. Your index finger on the 3rd string just behind the 2nd fret. Your middle finger on the 2nd string behind the 3rd fret, and your pinky finger on the 1st string just behind the 4th fret. To form the F chord, place your ring finger on the 4th string behind the 3rd fret. The middle finger on the 3rd string behind the 2nd fret. The index finger on the 2nd string behind the 1st fret. And the pinky finger on the 1st string behind the 3rd fret. To form the A chord, place your index finger across the bottom 4 strings behind the 2nd fret. Reinforce your index finger by placing your middle finger across the top of your index finger. Your goal is to make your finger placements all at once when forming your chords. As an exercise, try playing the alternating roll and change chords. I recommend that you space a measure of open notes between each chord change as you go through all of the chords. For another exercise, try singing a song while accompanying yourself with the banjo. Just use the alternating roll or forward-backward roll pattern and simply change chords to match the singing. Try the tablature in the booklet of "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain" and follow along as I play. I'll be using the alternating roll pattern.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes.
When you can do this smoothly, try this same accompaniment technique involving chords and rolls with other songs too. These kinds of exercises are especially helpful for developing your sense of timing along with a sense of when to change chords, both of which are helpful when you learn to improvise. By rolling along and singing, remember, you are not yet actually playing a melody. In three-finger picking, it's important to mention that not all the notes being played in the rolls are melody notes. The melody notes are usually 2, 3, and even 4 notes apart. The rest of the notes being played in that measure of tablature are called fill-in notes. The only difference, however, between a melody note and a fill-in note is simply how hard you play it. You should always play melody notes harder than fill-in notes. Beginners may not be able to distinguish a melody note from a fill-in note by listening to a banjo tune. Eventually, you'll begin to recognize them, and you'll be able to determine which notes or fret numbers should be accented as the most important notes in the melody. For now, listen close to the tunes as they are demonstrated and try to decide which ones are being played harder. In addition to playing melody notes harder, the left hand also performs a number of techniques that serve to embellish and bring out the melody. Among them are the slide and the hammer. The slide is indicated by the letter S below the measure. For this slide, play the third string while fretting it behind the second fret. Then slide your finger to the fourth fret, like this. I use my left middle finger for the slide. The hammer is indicated by an H below the measure. Play the second string, fretting it at the second fret with the index finger of your left hand. Then hammer down to the third fret with the middle finger, like this. Often you will see in tablature that slides and hammers are executed while playing another string at the same time during the technique. Here are some left-hand fingering techniques involving blends. Notice the M placed just above the H, indicating a blending of two strings. For this hammer, you will first play the second string fretted at the second fret. Then you will hammer down with your middle finger. At the same time you drop your middle finger, pluck the first string open with the middle finger of your right hand. Try this hammer as part of the forward roll pattern number 1. Once again, notice the piggyback arrangement of the tablature symbols indicating another blending of strings. Play the fourth string fretted at the second fret, then slide it to the fifth fret. At the same time that you slide past the fourth fret into the fifth fret area, play the third string so that it blends with the note sliding to its stop at the fifth fret. Now try this slide as part of the forward roll pattern number 2. The rolls, chords, accented melody notes, and left-hand fingering techniques are the basic elements of playing the banjo. When you have practiced these elements, you will have developed the basic skills for playing 5-string banjo. And now, what you've been waiting for, your first song. This first tune is a fiddle player's favorite as a show starter. It's called Boil Them Cabbage Down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that you've heard the first song, we'll go over it slowly in short musical phrases. You should memorize and learn each phrase one at a time. Each time you can smoothly play a phrase from memory, add on the next phrase. Continue to add on and combine phrases until your song is completely memorized. Don't try to rush this part of your learning. Don't worry about playing it fast. A slow version of this tune is provided for you to play along with. Remember, learn one phrase at a time before moving on to the next. Follow along as I demonstrate. Boil Them Cabbage, measures 1 and 2. Measures 3 and 4. Measures 5 and 6. Measures 7 and 8. Now that you've memorized the song so that you can play it all the way through without looking at your booklet, try to play along as I play it again at a slow tempo. Good luck.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Congratulations on learning your first song. The rest of the tunes in this video will be taught the same way. Almost everyone has heard this tune. It's called Cripple Creek.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3.
Cripple Creek measures 1, 2, and 3. Measure 4 and the first part of measure 5. The second part of measure 5 with measures 6 and 7. Measures 8 and 9. Measures 10 and 11. Measures 12 and 13. Measures 14 and 15. Measures 16 and 17. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Here's another old traditional favorite called Wildwood Flower. Notice the repeat sign and the first and second alternate ending measures. The dots above and below the third string line of tab at the end of the second line mean to go back to the first set of dots at the beginning of the second measure on line 1. The second time through, skip the last measure in line 2 and continue on line 3. Notice how I play it.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Wildwood Flower measures 1, 2, and 3. Measures 4 and 5, along with the first part of measure 6. The second part of measure 6, and repeat measures 2 and 3. Measures 4, 5 again, and skip measure 6, playing measure 7. Measures 8 and 9. Measure 10 and the first part of measure 11. The second part of measure 11, along with measures 12 and 13. Measures 14, 15, and 16. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. Our next song is a fiddle tune called Old Joe Clark, and like many fiddle tunes, it has an A part and a B part that should be repeated. Look for the repeat signs in the tablature and notice when each part is to be repeated. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Old Joe Clark measures 1, 2, and 3. Measures 4 and 5. Measures 6 and 7. And now measure 8, along with measure 9, which has a repeat sign that should take you back to measure 2. The second time through, you would play measure 8, skipping measure 9, and playing measure 10. Measures 11 and 12. Measures 13 and 14. Measures 15 and 16. Measure 17, along with measure 18, which repeats back to measure 11. The second time through, you would play measure 17, skipping measure 18, and continuing measure 19.
One, two, three, four, 1, 2.
Before moving on, we need to learn another left-hand technique called the pull-off. The pull-off is indicated by the letter P below the measure of tablature. For this pull-off, fret the 3rd string with your middle finger behind the 3rd fret, along with your index finger on the same string at the 2nd fret. Shortly after plucking the string, flick your middle finger up and back to create the effect. While you were playing Wildwood Flower, you may have noticed a couple of tag licks being used. Tag licks are short passages of banjo music which are usually played at the end of a verse of music. A tag lick can bridge the gap in between verse and chorus lines where the singer pauses to catch his breath. Follow along as I demonstrate some common tag licks. Here's tag lick number 1, played slowly. Tag lick number 1, a little faster. Tag lick number 2, played slowly. And now Tag lick number 2 played a little faster. Here's tag lick number 3 played slowly. Tag lick number 3 played a little faster. Tag lick number 4 played slowly. Tag lick number 4 played a little faster. Our next tune is the song that you heard in the beginning of this program. It's called John Hardy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. John Hardy measures 1, 2, and 3. Measures 4 and 5. Measures 6 and 7. Measures 8 and 9. Measures 10 and 11. Measures 12 and 13. Measures 14 and 15. Measures 16 and 17. And measures 18, 19, and 20. One, two, three, four, 1. Our next tune is called John Henry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. John Henry measures 1, 2, and 3. Measures 4 and 5. Measures 6 and 7. Measures 8 and 9. Measures 10 and 11. Measures 12 and 13. Measures 14 and 15. Measures 16 and 17. And measures 18, 19, and 20. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. Our last tune is called Fireball Mail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Fireball Mail measures 1, 2, and 3. Measures 4 and 5. Measures 6 and 7. Measures 8 and 9. Measures 10 and 11. Measures 12 and 13. Measures 14 and 15. and measures 16 and 17. One, two, three, four, 1, 2. I think it would be fun for you to learn a few standard endings that you can apply to many banjo tunes. This ending can be used to end most medium-tempo vocal tunes and a number of fast ones too. Here's how it sounds. Almost everyone has heard the old shave and a haircut ending. To make another ending, just attach this next measure onto the ending you have just learned. You now have a standard breakdown ending, and here's how it sounds. Play this next measure of tab in between the first two endings you just learned and make it a little more fancy. And now all three ending parts played together slowly. And now all three ending parts played together a little bit faster. This concludes our banjo instruction for now. Hopefully, it has just begun your journey into a world of musical accomplishment. Although learning with the aid of tablature is a good way to get started, you should also try to learn new tunes by listening to recordings and watching other musicians. Always remember that your enjoyment comes first. If you get frustrated, stop for a while and begin again later. Only happy times should be associated with your banjo, so have fun.